Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Wolfboro Board of Selectmen meeting for Wednesday, June 1st. Mr. Pinio, do we have a need for a non-public session this evening?
We do under 3 items, RSA 91A3, C, reputation, D, property, E, litigation.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is consideration of minutes for May 4th. Do we have any comments or corrections on the May 4th minutes?
Yeah, I have a bunch of them. On the first public hearing, we had many motions, and under one, motion to approve the addition of a commercial vehicle landing permit, sign permit to the dock and wharf ordinance. And I think the lines under that should say, no comment. Chairman Senecal called for a motion because he didn't close the public hearings. We went through all these motions, and at the end of them all, he closed the public hearing. Okay. So I would make that comment coming down through all of those. I guess it goes all the way over to page. It's hard. I would like to ask that we get page numbers, because it's hard for me. I think it goes all the way through page 4. And then at the end of those on page 4, it should say Dave Senecal closed the public hearing. And I would also add a sentence, Luke Freudenberg joined the meeting. A lot of times we've added that. On the next page, page 5, it's Kathy Eaton Furman. That's her name.
Yep.
And then on page 7, the motion, we got V, and then there's a motion, and it should be Luke Freudenberg moved to approve, and then it was seconded by myself, and it should say all members voted yes, the motion passed. On page 9, we were talking about a special exemption permit issuing of a building, and I think that permit should be attached to the minutes. I've known that times we've looked for a form, and if it's attached to the minutes, it's easy to find. And my last comment on those are on page 11. We should have a signature from the secretary saying respectfully submitted by, and then her name. And that's all I have.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 4th minutes as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next be the minutes of May 10th. Same thing. Any comments or corrections? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve as written. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one will be the minutes of May 18th.
Yes, I have a number of them. First of all, I think it shouldn't be initial and then our name. I think our name should be written out. I think these are our permanent records, and I don't think we should be using abbreviations. Then on page 4, I would like under C, actual versus budget, that usually we put in our minutes, she tells us a certain percentage. Either we put that in there or we attach to the back of these minutes her first page that lays all that out. So I don't care whether it gets inserted here in the budget or whether it gets attached, here in the minutes or it gets attached. On page 5, which is the next page, and it's F, it's Heritage Commission, it should read, Linda Murray responded to the request by Maggie Steer, and take out was asked. And I think that's it.
Any other comments or corrections on the minutes for May 18th?
I'll make a motion to accept as amended.
Second.
Motion and a second to accept as amended. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a number of public hearings this evening to go through, so We'll start off with the first one, the Wolfboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the American Legion Post 18 to host the 4th of July festival around town. American Legion 18 will have the 4th of July headquarters located at DeWolf Field, Brewster Academy, from 7/1/2022 at 6 p.m. to July 4th, 2022, 10 p.m. Rain date 7/5/2022. The American Legion has hosted the following events: animal show at the Wolfboro Public Library, storybook walk on Bridge Falls Path around town, and around town scavenger hunt, and music in Kate Park, all part of the weekend events. We have someone here to speak to us on this. Yes, come up.
My name is Paul Vivian. I'm from American Legion Post 18, and as you can see from our request, we've got a number of activities going on. This is all part of the second annual Wolfboro Independence Day Festival, and I hope there'll be a third, fourth, fifth, etc. And we've had a lot of people come forth now and are expressing a desire to be part of this. And as you heard, we're going to have an animal show. I guess that's maybe not the right word, where they show folks these animals. There are 4 or 5 of them. And we got a number of other activities. We're going to have, we hope, these pup tents up on Brewster Field, which we got from permission from the school for nonprofits, so they can talk to the public about what they can do. The Girl Scouts are going to be there. The Kingswood Youth will be there. The Legion will be there. We hope to get a few more folks. So we're trying to expand this festival to get more organizations. For instance, we have the Quilters Guild are going to show their quilts. I should also note that the Art Council has worked out a deal. It's worked out an arrangement with the Wolfboro Inn to show works of art by their members. So we're going to try to show the best part of Wolfboro over this festival, the 1st through the 4th. If it rains on the 4th, we'll have the parade on the 5th. But, so anyway, that's what our application is all about.
Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody in the audience have any questions or comments for the board or anything? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members?
I think it seems like it's going to be an outstanding event, and it'll be great to bring the community together in many different places. So would you like a motion?
I would love a motion for this.
I move to approve a temporary event permit for the American Legion Post 18 to host the 4th of July festival around town. American Legion Post 18 will have the 4th of July headquarters located at DeWitt Field, Brewster Academy, from 7/1/2022 at 6 p.m. to July 4th, 2022 at 10 p.m. Rain date July 5th, 2022. The American Legion is hosting the following events: animal show at the Wolfboro Public Library, storybook walk on the Bridge Falls Path, and around town scavenger hunt, music in Kate Park, and all parts of the weekend events.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Let's hope for nice weather on the weekend and everybody can get out and have a good time. Okay, our next public hearing will be the Wolfboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the Kingswood Athletics to host a 3-versus-3 basketball tournament fundraiser on July 2nd, 2022 from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Foss Field, which will also be part of the 4th of July festivities. I believe I saw an email that the gentleman wasn't going to be here. Oh, you're going to speak to this for him, okay?
This is Paul Vivian again. We've worked closely with the folks there to have this basketball tournament. One of the things we hope to do over the festival in the coming years is to expand that, not only from the basketball, but to include cornhole and some other activities. So that's really being wrapped into our overall festival plan.
Sounds good. I'll open up the public hearing for anybody that has any questions. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members?
I have one question, just a quick question. Are you signing up teams all in advance for this tournament? Are you signing up teams in advance for this tournament?
Yes, it's my understanding that's what they want to do. We've been working with one of the athletic directors at the high school, and he's very enthusiastic. His whole team is. I don't know the exact details of how they're going to recruit teams, but it's my understanding that they're going to start that recruiting process a few days prior to the event.
Any other
Mr.
questions?
House had planned on being here this evening, but there's a softball tournament, so he wasn't able to make it.
I'll make the motion to approve a temporary event permit for Kingswood Athletics to host a 3-versus-3 basketball tournament fundraiser on 7/2 from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. at FOS Field, part of the 4th Festival Events, permit number 22-50. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, move on to the next one. The Wolford Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit of the Governor Wentworth Arts Council to host an outdoor concert on June 28th, 2022 in Kate Park from 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. We have somebody here to speak to us about this one? I think this has been a repeat of previous ones, if I remember right.
Yeah, and we have their insurance, which is one thing we sometimes don't have.
Yep. So I'll open up the public hearing if anybody has any questions or comments about this one. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members, any questions, concerns, or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the temporary event permit for the Governor Wentworth Arts Council to host an outdoor concert on June 28th, 2022 in Kate Park from 5:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. The next one. The Wolfboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the Wolfboro Senior Center and Meals to host a barbecue luncheon on May 26, 2022 at the FOS Field Pavilion from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m., with this being catered. Is Amy?
I'm here online.
There she is.
Yep. Do you want to say
Here
anything?
I am. So this one's retroactive. We had it last Thursday at FOS Field on a very nice day, luckily. About 30 people came, catered lunch by Aaron. And that's just what we're doing right now for our lunches. We're going to be focusing on some more activities, and the next two are mine too.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. I'll open up the public hearing at this time if anybody has any questions or comments about this. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members?
I'll make a motion to approve the Wolfboro Senior Center and Meals to host a barbecue luncheon on May 26, 2022 at the FOS Field Pavilion from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That one's all set, Amy. Next one, the Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for Wolfboro Senior Center and Meals to host music by Bill Parker at lunch via Hawkers and Peddlers location number 1, Hot Dog Bob, on June 6, 2022 at the Kate Park and Community Bandstand from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. Go ahead, Amy.
So this, ooh, I'm so echoey. This one's in Cape Park. Bill Parker is someone that we've hired in the past. He actually visits the Mountain View Nursing Home on these 2 Mondays, so he'll be doing this for us first. So this is a Monday afternoon at 11 when the park is not really busy. The concert itself is free and open to the public. The hot dogs, you need to pre-register and for that event.
Oh, thank you, Amy. I'll open up a public hearing for this one. Anybody have any questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
I'll make the motion to approve a temporary event permit, Wolfeboro Senior Center and meals to host music by Bill Parker and lunch via Hawkers and Peddlers location number 1, Hot Dog Bob, on June 6, 2022, at the Cape Park and Community Bandstand from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the floor. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next one, the Wolfboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the Wolfboro Senior Center and Meals to host music by Bill Parker and lunch via Hawkers and Peddlers location number 1, Hot Dog Bob, on August 1st, 2022, at the Cape Park and Community Bandstand from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m.
So this is the same event, just on a different Monday in August. And I actually do want to point out that we've gotten some new board members on the senior, and I really appreciate all these people stepping forward and making our board whole again. We were down to 5 and we're almost close to 11 again. And we also observed that coming out of COVID, although we have music, they tend to talk right through it. So we've discovered that they've missed that social aspect. So the lunch that we did last week, we had no music or entertainment. We just allowed them to talk with each other.
Okay, I'll open up the public hearing. Anybody have any questions, comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members, what would we like to do?
Move to approve Wolfboro Senior Center and meals to host music by Bill Parker and lunch via Hawkers and Peddlers location number 1, Hot Dog Bob, on August 1st, 2022 at the Cape Park and Community Bandstand from 10:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. Permit number 2022-53.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's see. Next one, let's see. Wolfboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for Wolfboro Children's Center to host a Ferry find along Bridge Falls Path on July 9th, 2022 from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Hello. Is that good? Good evening. My name is June Connors, and I proudly sit on the board of the Children's Center. I'm here tonight to ask for 2 permits. Both events will be held on July 9th, and both are free. The first event is called Ferry Find. This will be our 3rd year and is a strengthening families event. Families come out to enjoy a stroll on the Cotton Valley Trail, starting at Foss Field and ending at Witten Neck Road. Some children come dressed in their fairy wings and capes. As the families enjoy their walk along the beautiful trail, they will be on the lookout for 10 wooden fairies that my husband will be hiding in the trees. They will also be discovering small painted rocks along the trail. They find their favorite rock and take it home. Last year we had over 150 rocks, and every single rock went home with a happy child. This is a big hit with the kids. When the families return to Foss Field, there's a large photo backdrop of a Fairyland where families enjoy taking pictures with their children. We will be setting up at 8:30. The event starts at 9 and ends at 11. All the fairies will be taken down and everything will be completely cleaned up. Our other event is Fairyland. This will be held at Cape Park from 10 to 12 and is also free. During these 2 hours, there will be entertainment for families to come and enjoy. There will be dancers, face painting, a scavenger hunt. Bob from the Children's Center will perform with his guitar, and a professional puppeteer. There will be fun things to purchase like bubbles, capes, and masks, fairy wings, and butterfly nets. All proceeds go to the Children's Center. We will be setting up at 8:30, and we will have everything completely cleaned up by 1 o'clock. I hope you can stop by and enjoy Fairy Find and Fairyland on July 9th. Thank you so much for your time and everything that you do for our wonderful town.
Thank you. I'll now open up the public hearing. Anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members?
I'll move to approve a temporary event permit for the Wolfboro Children's Center to host a fairy find along the Bridge Falls Path on July 9th, 2022, from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve this. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next one is going to be, we had these separated out, would be the Wolfport Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the Wolfboro Children's Center to host a Fairyland at Cape Park and Community Bandstand on July 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mr. Connors just spoke about what they were going to be anyway, so I'll open up the public hearing at this point. Anybody have any comments or questions on this one? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members?
Move to approve temporary event permit for the Wolfboro Children's Center to host Fairyland at Cape Park and Community Bandstand on July 9th, 2022 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., permit number 2022-56.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next we have on the agenda, I understand we want to table this because the Wolfboro Board of Selectmen is supposed to consider a temporary event permit for the Perform It Stage Company to host Shakespeare play in the Great Hall on June 16th to the 18th, 2022, from 4 to 11 p.m. But we understand this falls under a different category.
Yes, I'd like to table it. They really should be filling out a use permit for the town hall. And then there's some questions about how much to charge them, and we're going to have to do some rescheduling. So I would like to move that we table this and we talk about the event under new business, first item, and kind of clear it up there.
So was that a motion?
That is a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table this and move it to our first item under new business.
Correct.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So we'll move that to a little bit later. Next thing on our agenda is public comment. Do we have anybody here that would like to speak to us? 3 minutes per person, not to exceed 50.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, hello, Brad, Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
Yes, when you get to the MOU for the Pop Whalen, I'm sure Mr. Pinio is going to review the document, but could he please highlight all the bullets that refer to the Friends of Pop Whalen and their payment schedule? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to our bulk vote. This week we have weekly manifests for May 20th of $389,042.64, and on May 27th for $118,952.36. I have two current use applications, one for 343 Stoneham Road and one for 114 Springfield Point Road. We have intent to cut wood or timber warrants, one on New Garden Road, one on Stoneham Road, and 1, 2, 3, 4 property tax credit exemptions. And also our first half property tax warrant, which is for $16,432,429, will be billed on June 3rd, 2022, and due on July 6th, 2022. I'm sure everybody's happy to hear that, so.
Made their day.
So I'd entertain a motion on the bulk, we also have raffle permits from the Ladies of the Lake Quilters Guild. Will be done on July 1st through July 3rd of 2022. That's it for the bulk vote. Go ahead, yes.
Move to approve the bulk vote, items A through F.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the bulk vote. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next, board committee appointments. We have 3 gentlemen for Deputy Forest Fire Wardens, Taylor French, Timothy Gatherum, and Mark Fucci.
So this is basically a housekeeping issue to authorize these individuals as new hires within fire rescue to be wardens. The deputy chief is here. If you've got any questions regarding these gentlemen or the process, I'm sure he'll be able to answer them for you.
Okay. Do we have anybody, are any of them here that want to speak to us, or board members would like to have a motion on this?
Move to appoint the above employees, Taylor French, Timothy Gathrum, and Mark Fucci as deputy fire wardens.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve these deputy forest fire wardens. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, welcome. Thank you, gentlemen, for doing this. Now, under new business, we will bring up the discussion on the Perform It Stage Company, which was, I'll kind of read what they're doing here anyway to start off. Let's see. Perform It Stage Company will be hosting a Shakespeare play in the Great Hall on June 16th to 18th, 2022 in the Great Hall from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. and to use the Great Hall from June 5th through the 19th for set assembly and practices with cleanup of all on June 19th, 2022.
Well, I think we moved it from a temporary outdoor event permit to the town hall use permit, and in that permit, and we are to charge $50 per use, and I think it would come to about, if I calculated right, about $700. Yeah, and I think the last time it was about $1,000 when you were here for a bunch of it. So maybe you can tell, don't you think we should hear from, and hear a little bit about it, and then we can go on and.
Definitely.
Hi, I'm Wendy Platch. I'm president of Perform It Stage Company. We are in our 28th year. We're a local youth Shakespeare theater company. We've had our show here a couple of times, but the last time was in 2019. COVID has shut us down for a couple of years, so this is our comeback show. This year we'll be performing Much Ado About Nothing, and there are 3 performances. We expect, or we hope, for about 100 folks in attendance at each show, and we will be doing rehearsals ahead of time and setting up and getting our costumes ready and everything ready the days. That's what the June 5th through June, I guess, 15th is for. And also we've had in the past, and we're obviously going to, again, we'll work around any town meetings that need to take place. While we're here, we'll vacate the space for those things.
Right. Okay. Let's see. It's not really a public hearing on this one at this point now, so you have questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Your setup is such that we can get a set of tables? I remember one year we were up because you had this big stage here.
Yes.
Are we going to be able to have a kind of U shape here?
Yes, I think this year we're planning to do it up on the stage. We might need to build a set of stairs in the center there, but the floor space is not going to be used.
So I don't see any reason why we can't hold all the meetings right here.
Right.
you know?
I agree.
And so I would think the only thing is you can fill out the form for the right
Okay.
policy, and I think it's great. I've come to most of the shows, and I've enjoyed them. It's nice to see the young people perform.
Yes, please come again.
Yes.
So I think it would probably be appropriate that we could do a motion contingent upon them filling out the other form for us, because they need to getting in here over the weekend, it looks like, on June 5th.
Brad, I got one question, or
Oh, sure.
one or two. What will happen days that there are events here? Will you skip those days, or will you come morning and then after an event's over in the afternoon?
Yes, we would work around the times because we're down to what's called Tech Week.
Okay.
And so we need to be here pretty much every day. So we would just come in either before the event or after the event and work around it that way.
Jim, do you know of any days that the hall will be booked for the whole day?
The 9th. The evening of the 9th is going to be the public input session for the public safety building. So I'm anticipating that being a busy day, getting the hall set up for 100-plus people and projections ready and boards and whatnot. So I anticipate that being the big day for use of this facility.
So when you fill out your permit, skip the 9th, and it will be,
Okay.
that's why it's 700, not 750, because 15 times 50
Right.
is 750. And just skip that day and everything should be fine.
Well, if we're not letting them use that date, it'll be only 6:50. I didn't know whether they could come in early in the morning.
I mean, they can. I'm concerned that, there's a lot of setup that's going to
Okay.
be associated with that for
Okay. 6:50.
tripods and
Okay,
et cetera.
all right, so we'll say not on the 9th and $650.
700.
No, if we're going to not let them use the 9th, that's one of the days out.
Yeah, well, the 5th to the 19th is 15 days times $50 is
I had
750.
14 days. I had 14 days.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's 15 days.
All right, then we'll go to 7. We'll recalculate that.
Yeah, she'll work that out with Amy with the
Yes.
with the form and everything.
$50 a
and
day, not counting that.
she has the master calendar there also, which
Yep.
will have the
Yep.
Yes, I've been
the
in
dates and everything
communication with her.
to work
so,
around.
Yeah, she's given me the times we have to work
Yep,
around.
yep, that'd be good.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we let Perform It use the town hall from I think it's the 5th through the 19th of June, minus the 9th of June, and they are charged $50 a day.
Yep.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Thank you. Please attend this show.
Let's see, next on the agenda, the Boy Scout Troop number 145 would like to sell bottled water during the 4th of July parade. The Boy Scouts are...
The Boy Scouts have been a big part of our parade in the past, and I know they've sold water also in the past, and that's why they'd like to do it again this year. And it helps them finance activities throughout the year. And I'd say it's usually very hot on the 4th, and this will be good for the crowd and the people to have access to that water.
Yep. I think it's a great idea, and the people definitely appreciate it too, that if it is a good hot day, so. Board members, would like to make a
Move to
motion?
waive the transient sale ordinance on 7/4/2022, rain date 7/5/2022 for Boy Scout Troop number 145 to sell water along the 4th of July parade route.
Second.
Motion and a second on this. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item under new business is a request by Great Waters to put out the annual pianos downtown. Anybody from Great Waters to speak to us? This is an annual event's been going on for quite a few years. And, And I see there's, actually go through town this evening, I see there's a couple of them are sitting out there already and stuff.
That's
so-
what I noticed. This is another one, whoops.
Yeah, but it's great. People love them. It's kind of neat to go through and hear people on them at times during the summer, so.
Yeah, and then they get a business who will be responsible for putting the cover over and taking it off. So I think that's a great community event.
It is.
I'll make a motion to authorize Great Waters to put pianos in various locations downtown on the sidewalks.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next on the agenda is the Bridge Falls Path Lighting Projects, the light options. Barry.
Good evening. So this was a 2022 warrant article for Parks and Rec to replace the Bridge Falls Path lights. I do have a PowerPoint presentation.
Working on it, Barry.
Jim's working on that. Did you all notice how I jumped to attention when my wife's voice came over the speakers?
We saw
Scared the
that.
hell out of me. I didn't know she was going to.
Well, Barry, I don't know. Yeah, it's not letting me share it, though. It was earlier, I was able to do it, now I can't.
Right.
We do.
Go ahead, Barry, I'll see if I can.
I think we're going to be able to see it for the public. So we were tasked with replacing the Bridge Falls lights, which were well overdue. I don't know, does it make any sense? We see our old, our old lights here. I looked at it as we were charged with replacing them with the Railroad Ave, sort of the decorative post lights. So that was our goal. We did have some design criteria for pass. We hope to maintain a 0.24 candle light intensity, which would be consistent with state of New Hampshire guidelines for paths and trails. And as well, we did not want to exceed a maximum. Oh, here we go. We can catch up here. There's the old and the new. The old and what we have down there is new. And this is the general layout of the trail. It's almost a half a mile. We reached out to some of our vendors that we use. They were able to provide us with some design layout based on length of the trail, light spacing, etc. So as I said, 0.42 candles, 0.2 foot candles, maximum 3,000 K color temp, which everything nowadays is LED, so there is no other option besides LED. Go to the next one, Jim, if you would. So I have three options for you, and just looking for some feedback, maybe some direction, maybe this, maybe we got to reach out and do some more. I don't know. I'm just looking for a little advice. So the first one, this Arlington series post top light, which you see just ahead, and then the typical post that would be with. This one most closely matches our lights along Railroad Ave, the bridge lights, what you see down at Dockside. If you want to swap the next one, I kind of go through some pros and cons. The pros, like I said, this one more closely matches the existing lights. It does require fewer lights, spacing versus the other two options. my thoughts are that the glass poly panels along the sides of this one would be a little easier to maintain. We haven't seen the vandalism with these style lights in our other spots. It does also provide the lowest overall cost. But something to keep in mind, all of these lights that we have spec'd here will be within our budget. So all of them are actually under our proposed budget of the project. So that's not a real deciding factor that I look at. So the biggest con here is we all know dark sky compliance is a hot topic item. Although this light is considered dark sky friendly because it is LED, the light is actually in the upper portion where the finial cap is. Because of the glass, you will get some refracting of light, which has the potential to have light go upwards higher than 90 degrees, what they call a full cutoff, which is dark sky compliant. So that's the big con with that one. This sort of shows a typical arrangement, a rendering of that style light right there.
Quick question, Barry, on this one and also the next one is similar type of design. Is this going to be like the glass all the way around all 360-degree sides of it? Is there a way to shield off, like if you're going by, say, the end of Grove Street, to put any kind of shielding on, part of that so it doesn't shine out into a neighborhood?
It's not offered as part of the light. Something would have to be adapted if that were going to be the style. I think what you'll see with these, though, it's going to be more compliant of dark sky than what we have down there right now, because of the nature of these being LED. But it's just that when they say full cutoff, anything above that lens, to be full cutoff and dark sky compliant, there can't be any light that ventures above that. These, because of the refracted lenses, there will be some.
Yep.
Now, is it critical down there? I'm not so sure. Yeah. It's not as residential in spots as some areas in town, but it's going to be a decision that needs to be discussed.
Yep.
So here's a rendering of what that light looks like in a typical application. So.
Yeah, I have a question. It just, when I look at this, it looks like these are taller, skinnier poles than the ones that we have.
I think that's just the rendering. We're looking at 12-foot poles is how these came out when we had our design criteria.
And do you know a diameter? Is that?
It would be very similar diameter, actually.
Okay,
it looks that way, and even the lights look smaller than they really are. These are 2'8" in height, these lights, when you see them up close. So it's a substantial light. It would be very similar. I think they're actually the same exact posts as what we have spec'd down on Railroad. So
Okay, it's just the way they look on the picture.
I think it's just the appearance in the photos. So that was style one. And the next one. Now this one is a very similar style to that last one. This is a full cutoff light. So this is fully dark sky compliant. And I do show it on the right on a post configuration. Next slide, Jim. So I have some pros and cons. Again, fully dark sky compliant. The style's consistent. It's not exactly the same light. It does have some of the lower cost units per purchase price. The cons I had here, though, was if you see there's no glass, it's all opened. I would have some concerns with insects, wildlife, bugs, and all the fun things you get with lights, especially in the summer months. I could see that being a real nightmare to maintain. Brian?
So in our neighborhood, we have 33 closed lanterns in our neighborhood. And every single one of them, although they have plastic all around and a closed top,
I know.
They have a nest of spider webs and bugs and everything that get stuck in there. Now, we have 2 in our neighborhood that have glass that comes down, but the bottom is open. Those get less insects in them than the others, because I think the insects get in and they find their way out. Now, I would say that I could see with that one, the problem I see is kids throwing rocks in it and hitting the bulbs.
Like I do say, I also note vandalism is the potential there because it is opened. You know, it is what it is with that one. I think you're going to have some maintenance. I think you're going to require a lot of cleaning throughout the summer to make sure that those things aren't full of, you know, bugs, spider webs, and you name it. So that's my biggest concern about that one. Unfortunately, that is the one that's full cutoff.
Yep.
Similar style. And if you go to the next photo, there's an application of those. I think they look nice out on a trail situation, but
Those may get bugs in them, but they might actually be easier to clean. You could just get up there with a leaf blower or something like that and blow them right out. Right out.
pressure washer. I
Yeah,
don't know,
right.
but
No,
I can foresee it being an issue. I really can. So we kind of went with another maybe completely different style number 3 here, which if you look at it on the left doesn't look like a lot, but if you add it with the they call it a bishop's crook, not a shepherd's hook, a bishop's crook. And that gets mounted on a similar post with the curved, and that kind of grew on me. But I'd like to get some feedback. Now, next slide, Jim. Pros and cons of this one, because of its shape and design. This is a full cutoff, so this is fully dark sky compliant. It is fully enclosed. I could foresee vandalism and cleaning being, not as so much of an issue with these. If you go back to the prior slide, Jim, because I do mention that you can do a double. You can actually do a double bracket, a double crook with these. And if there was some intent to do some security cameras in certain areas down there, that security camera could be mounted on the opposite crook. That maybe 3 or 4 of them throughout, so it could serve a dual purpose as that to proceed forward. So that I looked at that as one of the pros. It does have the lowest energy consumption. It's not traditional with what we have in town, although down at Glendon Street parking lot we do have those style lights with the rounded tops that are down-directed lights. They've done a nice, we've had them up there. When did we do Glendon Street parking lot, Dave? 10 years ago? At least, and we have not had to touch those lights in the whole time. We've never even had one go out. So there's something to be said about that enclosed head, with even underneath having a glassed enclosure on that. We just have had to do nothing as far as maintenance.
Are those, are they more fragile if kids were to climb them and try and hang from them or something?
It's going to be the same exact post at 12 feet and then with the crook on top. I mean, yeah, I think overall the head structure is going to be...
I like the idea that they would be out over the middle of the path.
They certainly will be the most dark sky compliant. They are directly down lit. Couple other cons, they are the highest price, but again, as I said, none of these are over our budget number. They're well under, actually. It does require 3 more lights in the course of the run, just because they're so down directed that you have to get them closer to maintain that 0.42, why do I keep saying 0.2 foot candle. So you need 3 more, but it's, that's not the end of the world. So, with the next slide, Jim. And another thing about this style light, you can get them in various different pendant options. There's 8 different pendant options. Some of them are more modern than the others. The one I happened to choose there was the upper right one, the Prague Series 1, but you can get it in different configurations if that was, something you wanted to think about, if you were even going to entertain this style light. So,
how significant is the energy savings from one to another? Probably very, very small.
I believe this was about 25% less energy use in this one. But keep in mind, these are all LEDs.
Yeah.
So overall, when you're talking about energy savings, we're not talking about thousands of dollars a year. You're talking about hundreds of dollars a year. So,
So would you buy a couple extra in the initial, just in case down the road they don't make these anymore, or?
that would be a great idea. Budget.
Yeah. If it was-
if it fit into it, and I believe it will.
And then
That would be a great
Does-
idea.
does
And
the-
then we wanted to match as well. David has the parking area down there where the EV chargers are. So we have 5 there. My thought is to sort of use that same design in that parking area. If you,
Yeah, that would hang over the charger, which would be nice. People would be able to see it better.
I know that, I know the captain and I think the chief and I have talked about cameras on the path, and would the power be there for the camera, like ready
So-
to, if they went that way?
these have a receptacle option offered in all of these models where you can have a receptacle in the base in an enclosed cover. Been working with Captain Levy on some designs, what we'd have to do to add an additional conduit to do a security camera in them. I can kind of show you an example, and I don't have it via a slide, but this would be sort of representative of the double crook, 180 opposite of each other that you could, light on one side, camera on the other. I've seen them out there.
So do you think in 10 years, being more energy efficient, you'd get back the cost of one light maybe?
Oh, compared to what's out there right now?
Well, no, compared to the other models that we have here.
Oh, compared to the other models?
Yeah.
I didn't really do that analysis, Brian, but you'd probably save the cost of one or two. I mean,
One or two, that gets Luke his two that he suggested for backups, and we're back to even.
But you got to add 10% lighting because there's an additional 3 you got to buy, so
Yeah, that
it's
is
a
the
wash.
case. Now, I mean, this is a 20-year investment on these lighting I'm looking at. 20, 25 years you try to get out of these. And so over the course of that time, yeah, you would probably save enough to even cover 2 or 3 of them. So, I mean, any feedback you could provide would be great.
I definitely want the dark sky compliant. Anybody out there on Back Bay, on a boat and stuff.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous area. I'm always surprised at how beautiful Back Bay is when you're out there on a boat. So I definitely want to, fully dark sky compliant.
Full cutoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm, I guess, do we keep the same style going all the way through or not? I guess becomes the question in terms of the look on what we're trying to do here. So I don't know if there are other companies. Have you looked at other companies?
There are some other companies right now, like all problems getting products. It's tough. We have, we used to go with GE lights. GE no longer offers the lights like we have down on Railroad Ave. They no longer offer a representative to come up and design your system for you. But they're all very similar. Even if you look at the new, GE light models, what's there? They're like a full glass globe. And to me, that spells, let's throw a rock at this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
full glass enclosures.
the difference with the dark sky, if you took the ones that look similar to what's there, is that you have the concern that there's nothing that protects it, and it's easy.
I mean, maybe it's unfounded, but
So here's another question. How old are the rest of our lights in downtown and at the town docks?
Boy, the ones on the bridge right downtown are probably 15 years old. Around Railroad Ave, they're going to be 10, 12. When did we do Railroad Ave? 10, 12. Dockside was done somewhere 8 years ago. I think it was done after we did. No, we did the 2007. We did all the walkway. We did blue lights along the river. 2007. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those are here when I got here, too. we redid them, but they were the,
So it's okay if we chose to go a different route as the pendant light, within 10 years or 8 years or something, we'll end up probably having to replace the others in downtown. You
I mean,
said,
there is a separation in these two areas.
I
that-
think that's the issue.
that
There
would-
is.
Would not necessarily, you know.
With the amount of graffiti on the path, like spray paint and stuff like that, I think you got to think about something that's going to be, one, resilient to potential for damage, and two, we got to get eyes down there anyways, because it's been, there's obviously an attractive nuisance down there on the path with other instances over the years, so.
Well, look what we have. This will be definitely an upgrade.
It is.
Oh, yeah. I think
light.
any of these three would look fabulous down there.
So we definitely are saying we want to have some cameras down in there.
I think so. I think the captain's been talking about it for a while.
So I think that's important, because I think there are some areas you may very well want a camera as we become more populated even.
So that style particularly would allow you to incorporate both on one post, camera, light, if you chose so.
Yeah, I'll just start. We'll have everyone kind of put their opinion on which style they like. I think we all agree we'd like to go with the dark sky compliant. My personal opinion is I'd kind of like to stay with the same kind of style that we have going now, which would be the Arlington series with a full cutoff there, rather than the pendant one hanging over it, just because it's a whole different look as far as the light fixture itself. So that's kind of my opinion anyway, to keep that, that old, it's more of an old style looking light too and stuff. I really like the way they look downtown, on the bridge down at Dockside, along Railroad Ave and stuff. And I think continuing that out the path would look really nice out there. And I think, we're going to get in a little bit later anyway, I think on the cameras there. There are only a couple of them out through there further out on the path there that we'd be able to come up with some kind of a design, even on this style of light here, to be able to, get a camera attached or something out there, for the PD. So that's kind of, my opinion, what I'm thinking anyway. So,
Brad, I could go with you that way easily too. I just really, I agree. I think it's a nice look, and it would follow the look that we have downtown. I was only reacting to the concern of harder to clean, but
I think
dark sky is what I really.
I think regardless of manufacturer, any of them now that are going to be full dark sky compliant with LED is going to be an open.
Okay, well then that's simple.
Open apparatus. It's just the nature of the beast now.
I think we shift gears and go with a pendant. I like your idea.
I'm open, so I mean, if you want to vote.
I do like the pendant, but do you feel like we could do the same type of thing with an arm off some of these, if down the road, or modify something so that they can, as opposed to putting more posts down later for a camera?
I don't quite know what that would look like, Luke. I haven't seen anything on a conventional post light that would allow that, but there may be. I mean,
why don't you check that out?
There may be some sort of little outreach arm that you can do on a conventional post light.
How soon do you kind of want some guidance from us on this stuff for lead time and things?
I mean, we're going to be looking at, 12, 14-week lead time on lights, and then we're going to be putting it out to bid as far as construction of it.
Yep.
So I probably won't actually try to get a contractor in until after Labor Day, just because of the use of the trail.
Yep.
And the summer is pretty heavy, so.
Right. But you're going to want to get your order placed soon.
We want to get the light order placed. This company right here can get us them in 12 weeks. There are other companies out there that are even a year out on options. So that's, that was one of the factors in my.
I had one more question that might actually speed this along. I don't know. Could we put in a couple more concrete pedestals for like a post that would be similar to the light, but later down the road could be used for cameras if the...
So it would be a standalone style that...
Potentially, just at least put the concrete base in. So that later on, if they want to put a camera up, then at least the location's already picked out. If that sped things up for the lights.
That's an option. I may... it may even be beneficial just to stub the conduit out of the ground versus having an additional concrete structure there where people are going to go, what's missing? What happened?
As long as you have the electricity there to put
have
something.
power available there anyway, you could do that.
As long as it's dark skies, I'm fine, and I kind of go with Brad. I like that design better going down, but I could live with the other.
Yeah, I'm fine with those. Let's give Barry so he can move forward with this thing, so I'm fine with the...
So we're leaning towards a pedestal light similar, okay.
To what's there.
Well, and that can give me some direction to, if I can find something else out there that meets the criteria and is as close as I can get to what we have, that seem to be the general direction of the group?
I think so.
Okay.
They may even check out some kind of an
All right.
additional arm
And
for
then
a
I
camera.
can see if we can, if a light can be a post could be adapted for camera perhaps
camera,
down the road. Okay. All right, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Okay. Next on the agenda, for Bailey's Bubble parking spaces. See the Skelly's here. They'd like to have permission to block off a couple of parking spaces in front of the Bailey's Bubble from June 1st through, I guess we can pick out the date in October. Usually they go through about Columbus Day weekend, I believe. I think we've run on the pass for them, and if anybody's ridden through town lately, we've seen there's been some pretty good lines out in front of the place already, so. Comments from the board?
Yeah, I have one. I just think that they really have thought about the parking down there, and they're asking to put them out at 6 p.m.
Right.
And it's for the evening time when there isn't the visibility. I know there was some feeling last year that they were taking valuable parking spaces, but I think this is a beautiful compromise to do it just at night, and I think it will help with the people standing in the street. I still think they'll be there, but not as many.
Yep, no, I completely agree. Any other comments, or would somebody like to make a motion?
Move to authorize Bailey's Bubble to block off, how many spots are they blocking off? 2?
It says 2 to 3.
Yeah, 2 or 3, what do we want to give them?
I think give them 3. I mean, sometimes they're across the road. I think that if we can get them in closer
Okay.
to the building, we're better off.
3 parking spaces in front of Bailey's Bubble from June 1st to October.
Till they're closed.
Close?
I think they close somewhere.
Yeah, mid-October with Columbus Day weekend, basically, I think is their last run.
15th?
Yeah,
October 15th, 2022.
Second.
did we get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Saying none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next on the agenda, dockside, outside tables.
So this one, I actually have been working with the Rourkes on. They would like to continue the seating as they have in the past. They haven't really increased their capacity. They're just spreading the people out. I did go through and conduct a review of their lease. Off of the front of the building, they're actually allowed 20 feet, and they're at about 28 feet. So they're infringing a little bit on outside of the agreed upon terms. I did have a conversation with the fire chief. I had him look at it from an egress point of view for the mount. He saw no real issues with it. They've actually pulled the tables in a little bit to try and make it more like a horseshoe rather than a square. And they do fall within the width of their building, which is, again, part of the contract. While I don't have the square footage, it seems like it's a good compromise. And I believe they have a letter in the packet for you. I can try to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I noticed too, they've also contacted about Washington Cruise Boat to talk about, make sure their customers have room enough to maneuver around, and they seem comfortable with it, so.
Yeah,
Linda.
I was very pleased. I had asked some questions about this early because I was last year in September, I was there, and the Mount Washington doesn't like you on the wooden section, and so it pushed you back on this. And I think by them rounding it off on the edges, I think that will help towards the Mount Washington. So I'm very pleased. I think this is, as Jim says, a good compromise, and I'm in support of it.
I believe also that the restaurant's a valuable asset to us down there. And they've been great with the community. So it gives families a nice atmosphere and a reasonably priced place to get a bite to eat. And I can see where people are still a little nervous with the pandemic and everything, that the little space outside would benefit some people.
And also, you look at the pictures from the Whiskey Barrel locations, you can
Yeah.
see they've been pulled in, it looks like about 3 or 4 feet
Yeah.
from where they were previously, so they have pulled back in some.
Exactly, and right where that Mount Washington people are going to stand
Yep,
is, perfect.
yep. So
Do you want a motion?
I would, yes.
I move to authorize the Dockside Restaurant to use the commercial dock area for outside tables per the layout presented to us tonight. Can we just clip the picture of it? And there we are.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor to approve this. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next on the agenda, discussion for the proposed license agreement with Wolfeboro Single Track.
So I have prepared a draft agreement for you. I've received some feedback from a number of people, a number of you rather, and from legal counsel. I think the big takeaway on this is Dave Ford and what is going to be required of the spray fields, the need to have to shut down actually 2 lines rather than just one, and the timing of shutting down those lines. I believe there's a memo in there from Dave outlining that, and he thinks there's probably going to need 2 weeks of shutdown on the lines, then evaluate to see if we can go ahead and authorize usage on the trail. But in front of you right now, you have the lease draft, and if you have any specific questions, Dave or I should be able to hopefully answer them for you.
Jim, I thought for a while they were talking about going across. That climb trail is not complete. They still have to complete it, and we do not have the exact spot. And before we approve anything, I think we have to have that exact spot, and I don't know if that pulls any of it away. There was talk about pulling it away further from the spray fields.
So it's my understanding that they would, at this point, terminate the climb trail where it is, go out onto Twister, across Twister, and then up in order to achieve, this year anyways, usage of the trail. As far as continuing up, I don't think that really makes a difference because the breakout could happen down at the bottom, right, Dave?
The problem is at the bottom of the hill.
Okay.
So if they want to continue, when we take out these 2 lines, that's going to give them 200 additional feet
Okay.
to work within. If they continue their strategy building, that's okay. If they want to cut out on the ski trail, that doesn't bother me either. So I think they do have to do additional construction. And again, once we shut off, I think 2 weeks, and then we can take a look at it, and then we'll have to shut off those pipes, cap them, and then kind of take them out of there eventually. But it's a long-term permanent decision, because once they build that trail, it'll always become a weak point in that hill, so we can't use the hill again for that type of use.
So if they did stay out, cut out onto the twisted trail, would that be what you're just talking about there, or that still?
The problem is it's already been done. So if they want to continue going higher up, once we stop spraying, it's all nice land. So if they want to keep it, whatever they want to do above, now that we give them, they can do it, I would think it's their choice. And I think they wanted to continue to climb in the woods. But if they, and they were going to shoot out just to get away from the spray, but we can't, it doesn't work because they don't realize the impact.
It's down below. Okay, that's an important one for me to understand,
So
too.
once we take out those two, they can have that area, and if they want to link it on that side of the twister.
If we, in the future, we're spraying now, you talked about drip irrigation.
Yes.
The same issue would be there.
No. Drip irrigation is going to be in the ground, and it will probably not use this area, yes, because once we cut it, then we wouldn't want to be using this for drip irrigation.
But if we did want to use it and we use drip irrigation, the same problem would be there, whether we use drip or we spray.
No.
Okay.
So the difference being drip irrigation is a much lower discharge rate. So when we're spraying at 2 inches a day, that's a lot higher than we would do drip irrigation. So I don't think you would see the problems we have now because we're on a fragile edge and we're flooding that ecosystem with too much. So if we go the other route, we'd have it sprayed, it'd be discharged over a whole year, but at a much slower rate.
Yeah, because I think what I'm thinking about is if we have more development, we couldn't then just put back on the spray because they have the trails. And that's why I asked you whether if we went to the different method that you've talked about as a solution for that, they could still have the trails, and since it's going to go in slower, it would not have that effect. Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of think one of the hanging points for me is that, by doing this and cutting out those 2 lines, as David had pointed out, you're looking at 100 to 115 million gallons per year, which is basically a 3% reduction in the permitted capacity right there. So, we're approaching the limit of the RIBs as we talk now. Well, we're getting close anyway. We know the future growth in the town's going to get us even closer there. So.
I think the future growth is an issue.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the decisions we have to discuss. We are a really special town, and the reason we're special is because a long time ago, people took the time to make zoning and create controls. And the fact that we have a treatment facility and a water treatment facility, we're able to control the density we have here now. But we don't have the ability to grow unlimitedly. We don't even have the growth to grow a lot. We only have the ability to grow a little bit. So the wastewater is a way to encourage growth. So by limiting our capacities, we also limit growth. If you want to increase growth, then you would not want to give up this, because this is equivalent to 23-bedroom homes for a year. That's about what you're giving up. And right now, I think we're okay, what I say, for organic growth. But if someone comes in with projects that are multi-units, high density, because of the selling point that it costs less, that's the balance. And that's why we start talking why it's so important. We're working on that study right now with HDR, looking at all the vacant lots to make sure everyone can have, be able to have 1 unit on each lot. But if you own 100 acres in an area, it doesn't mean you're going to get 100 units. You get 1 unit. And I think that's the key, because we have all other kind of problems. Transportation is the biggest issue. We don't have 3 roads in and out of town. So we got to be careful about our growth. But back to the wastewater, that is an issue. I'm not so concerned about it because I think our growth will be controlled, because it's just hard for us to grow because of our zoning and because that's where we are. And we're a special town. And I used to say it before, I haven't said it lately, but Wolfeboro is really the best town in the state of New Hampshire. The state of New Hampshire is the best state in the United States. That makes Wolfeboro the best town in the world. And it's not easy. It's a very tough thing to do. But our zoning is reason for that. Another reason is the people we have. We have special people who work, volunteers. Our staff is great. We have a great resources. We got to protect it. And I'll tell you what, we got to be very careful about growth. Wastewater can help us grow, and wastewater can help us not grow. Again, I got off on a tangent there. So, and part of being a great town is having all these different facilities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's why this is not for people who want mountain bike. This is a nice thing for us to have, and I think that's why I think it is a balance.
Any other questions or comments for Dave or Jim?
I sent, as usual, Jim got an email with all my concerns and questions and changes. One of the things that I question is that we were going to have a public hearing on this license agreement, but we haven't accepted the donation of the trails, and I believe we'd have to do that at the same meeting because they're there. They've been donated to us, and I think we have to do that. And they've spent so far $83,620, and they're going to need to spend a certain amount if we grant this license agreement to finish those trails, and there's one they have to fix up.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused on that because I was under the impression that they weren't going to do they were going to do some trail maintenance, no more construction. And I was under the impression that this was going to go to the town next year for vote of acceptance of that gift.
Correct.
That was my impression.
I guess, no, I thought the warrant article was to ask the voters whether they wanted to do the whole layout of trails that they have proposed, not this pilot section. And so we've had money already given to the town. It's there. The trails are there. We know, they've told us that they spent $83,620. And I
Correct.
believe we should check the statute, but I think that's a gift to us, and I think we as a board have to accept it. We have to accept it. We can block the trails after we accept it, but they're there.
I understand it the way Jim said it, is that the pilot program is something we're allowing them to use now, and then I believed when it went to the voters for a vote, that they would determine whether they wanted to keep the pilot program and to go forward building additional trails and finish it, or have the option to just shut the whole program down.
Right, but they've already spent the money. The gift is already there, I guess is my difference.
I can work with council and get some clarification
Okay,
on that.
that would be great.
The only other couple of things, and I had a laundry list for Jim too, was I think that, and I don't know if you mentioned these, I think that we need to have someone who inspects the trails on a biannual basis in the fall and in the spring to make sure that they are doing what they say they are doing, because we need to keep an eye on things. I also think that we should have a copy of their financials, either once a year or biannually, because we should understand, that they have the resources to maintain these trails. And the only other one would be, I would want them to make sure that they return the area around the trails to as natural a state as it was when they started. Jim has a clause in there. I think he just needs to make it a little bit tougher. I have some other things, but those are my important ones.
I don't think we can ask them for their financial statements and stuff. I believe we can ask them for their 990, which they have to file, and that'll give us some idea. But I think that should be checked with town council to see whether we can. But I know they have to give us the 990.
If we're a partnership, they should want to.
Yes, so everybody knows in the public too, that we have it scheduled now for a public hearing on Wednesday, June 15th at our regular meeting to discuss and go and possibly enter a license agreement with Wolfboro Single Track for this. So there will be a public hearing at that time, and we'll dive into that further. And
Jim, will you give us a revised draft?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
anything else on this? Okay. Next is going to be, we have some commercial vessel landing permits. Okay, thank you, Luke. Let's see. First one is from Ambrose Marine Construction to use the Libby, the launch area for barge. Has a 60-foot length of vehicle, which doesn't figure into the permit. This is a flat fee anyway of $3,000. He has, you saw here, he has, yes, the check has been sent in and everything, so board members, any, like to make a motion on this one?
Do you want to do each one? Or do you want to do, can we do?
We could do them all together.
You think we can just
Sure.
do one motion?
So we have three of these. One is from Ambrose Marine Construction. Second one is from Wolfeboro Dock Company for the same thing, the $3,000 fee for the barge usage at the Libby launch. And actually, the other one is for down at Dockside for Dive Winnipesaukee. That was for the mailboat. There it is.
Move to issue Ambrose Marine Construction a commercial vessel landing barge permit for the Libby Dock for the 2022 season. Move to issue Wolfboro Dock Company a commercial vessel landing barge permit for Libby Dock for 2022 season. Move to issue a commercial vessel landing permit for Mailboat Dive Winnie for the 2022 season, contingent upon a permit.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion, a second on the floor. Any other discussion? All those in favor of issuing these permits, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Brad, I'm going to step down from the next one.
Okay. Welcome Luke back for this next one. Next one is the amendment to the grant award letter and agreement with Pop Whalen, the MOU. Mr. Pinio.
Yeah, so as you're aware, we had an agreement with the Friends of Pop Whalen for the engineering and architectural phases of the Pop Whalen project. We are still obviously doing some engineering and architectural work on a fairly regular basis, so that is still in play. However, we needed to push along and get the letter and terms in place for the relationship between the Friends of Pop Whalen and the town, specifically related to the $2.7 million donation. That funds is anticipated to come into the town no later than July 31, 2023. And it basically lays that out in the grant letter, and then it talks about the relationship of the parties involved, outlining the expenditure of funds, tax exemption status, expenditure of funds, require of notification, relationship between the parties, no benefit to individuals, entirety of the agreement, and if there's any amendments, what has to be done to make any form of amendment to this agreement. And then it authorizes either the town manager or the Board of Selectmen to be able to sign this, and it's pretty much it. It mirrors what was done with the Library Foundation. I've worked back and forth with the Friends to get this document done, and we have it in front of you this evening for discussion. I see Victor Druin and Kurt DeVilder are here to speak on its behalf. So if you have any questions of them or I, we're here to answer them for you.
Good evening. Victor Druin, Friends of Pop Whalen. Thank you for having us tonight. Yeah, so we've worked together with Jim and the town's, this got reviewed by the town attorney. It went back through Friends of Pop. We're in agreement. And basically, I think this agreement memorializes, what we had committed to verbally to you guys over the last, year and a half, last 18 months. And it's basically our commitment to deliver $2.7 million to you guys for the renovations by July 20 of 2023. So that's basically it. It was reviewed by town council, and I think we're in pretty good shape. So.
Yes, this has been reviewed by actually multiple councils. It was reviewed by town council, and then it was also reviewed by bond council.
Mm-hmm. Any questions or anything? I think it all looks good to me. I didn't jot down the notes here when Suzanne was asking the questions on.
Yeah, what I can do is I can provide her the copy of it via email in the morning.
Yep.
I don't want to go through and read the entirety of the document because there'll inevitably be some things that are missed and misinterpreted. So I think the best solution to it is to just send it across to her tomorrow.
Yep. Okay.
But I think the bulk of what she was looking for, the $2.7 million, is expected to come in July of 2023. That's what I got as being one of the big takeaways.
Board members, somebody like to make a motion on
I'll
this?
make the motion to approve the amendment to the grant award letter and agreement with the Popwell and MOU as requested at this meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All set? Thanks.
And just on a note to tie that up, the construction is going very well. It's on budget at this point. I don't want to say ahead of schedule, but it's definitely on schedule. So it's coming along nicely.
Sounds good. Okay. Any other business this evening?
Yes, I have some other business. I received a complaint on Memorial Day from somebody in the DRA, and she was concerned about the banners that were right in front of all the monuments up at Pickering Corner. I went back and I've pulled our sign permit, and there's nothing on there that says where at that corner we can place banners. We do ask for a site plan so we can see each of them where they're going to be. And I was wondering whether the board would like to form a committee, get the DRA, the Legion, the Chamber, maybe the Planning Board, and look at that corner and see if there's some way, whether we recommend 2 days out of the year, Memorial Day and Veterans Day, that there's no temporary event banners in front of the monuments, or we want to get to the point where they go and set places, but have a committee kind of talk about it and bring back some recommendation to the board to see if we cannot have another Memorial Day with banners right in front of the monuments. So I just thought I'd bring that up and see how the board felt about it.
I've got to say something because I was thinking the same thing today, and I talked with Jim from the Legion, and I think we really ought to think about what we're doing there is creating a safety hazard as well as disrespecting our veterans. The signs don't need to be there. The word can get out about all the different places somewhere else, but that should be a sacred. It's the monuments for our veterans, and we plaster it with everything going on every weekend, and there's no need for it because it's dangerous. If people are reading those signs, they're not driving their cars. That's the most dangerous intersection, not the most, but it's one of our dangerous intersections, and we shouldn't have any signs there. So I would like to double down and say consider a no sign zone, that whole frontage, and just bite the bullet and make the town the greatest, which it is, right? We don't need signs.
And I'm more than willing to add that to the discussion. I think that's, we need to to at least have a group talk about it. And I'm more than willing to get a group together and have them work on it and bring it back to the board if the board would like me to do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a
Great
good idea.
Okay?
Want to go with the consensus of the board for
You want to
that?
be on it? Okay. I know you do. If I didn't want to hear it, I wouldn't have asked you.
Okay, any other business this evening? Committee reports. Start down with Brian.
So the Energy Committee has been working diligently on the EV chargers, and we're hoping that we'll have them up and running by next week. And they're going to be coming to the board with information and some questions based on what rates should be charged and some other things. I was happy to see that the Milfoil Committee had Back Bay treated again, and that overall the situation is in control. They took out 23 gallons, was it?
I think right around there.
Of milfoil, and they said it would take a couple of months till we see how the process went.
Let me kind of go on what you're talking about is that they were hand pulling. They were not using any chemicals, but what was so exciting when DES went through there was no milfoil in the frog pond.
Yes.
And that is like unbelievable. That was the one we could never get. And so this Puracell or something like that has worked far better than 2,4-D. So.
Yeah. So that we're making progress.
Yeah, very, very good progress.
Luke?
We had a cable franchise meeting. Brian had mentioned that. And yesterday, Linda and I had the Wolfeboro Waters.
Yes. And I had the Friends of Pop Whalen and Wolfboro Waters, and also had the information on the milfoil.
Okay, and I think the only meetings I've had were with Community TV. Recently, we have, this week, today being the first, I don't have planning board till next week, so that was it for me. Town managers report.
Yeah, a couple of items. We received a complaint about doors at the Albee Beach House restrooms. It appears that we have a problem with the door sticking. So if for some reason, people out there who are listening, if you're not able to get the door open, please either call somebody, let us know, or try to yank on the door. Christine's going to be working on it, but apparently the door is sticking. With that said, I had a good meeting today with Parks and Recreation regarding the organizational assessment. That's moving right along. Had a cable franchise committee meeting. We're scheduled to meet again in a couple weeks. Had a good meeting with the treasurer and the finance director, talked about some items specifically about the impact fees, some of the things that were discussed previously in the budget cycle about it, and making some movement there. Next week, or next board meeting, you'll have CIP packets for review as we're getting ready to get into that time of the year. And we have the public safety public forum on June 9th in the Great Hall. We're going to go over the various options that we've reviewed to date and hopefully get some input from the citizens about a direction they'd like to see us head in with the public safety assets. And lastly, June 7th, have a budget committee meeting at the library. That's it.
All right, thank you. Questions from the press? Alyssa, do you have anything for us?
Well, I'd just like to say, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. The Memorial Day activities I thought were very well attended and went very well. And in talking to people around the docks, there were people who had not seen the docks for a while. And they were very impressed because you have that ramp and the walkway, and it's very accommodating. And the seating, the new seating, it seems that if you build it, they will come, and they came. It was a good crowd. Good job.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I just made a comment too. I did hear some comments about over the holiday weekend there of the dock attendants down there. Very well appreciated. The people loved them. It was on social media, they were being praised all over that. So, that program we started as a pilot last year and continuing this year is becoming very popular, and I think it's making a big difference down there. So, thank you to I think it was the highway crew guys that were down there for that stuff. So, thank you for the highway crew there. Public input. Limited 3 minutes, 15 minutes max. Anybody?
Yes, Brad, it's Suzanne again.
Hi.
Hi. Regarding the MOU for the Pop Whalen, the library gave periodic payments towards the bonding of that project. I would have hoped that we would have gotten incremental payments from the Friends of Pop Whalen, so as we didn't have to carry the whole load for them until 2023. I find that very disappointing. That's it.
I'll just respond to that quickly. Having that done for July of 2023, it should be in place before there's any tax rate impact. So I understand what you're saying, but we're going to have their full contribution by that date, and I think it's a good plan. But I'll get the copy to you tomorrow, Suzanne.
And does that include the interest of what we're carrying for them?
It does not.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Anybody else out there for public comment? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Yes, yes, yes. We'll go into non-public. Thank you, everybody.